NBC News reports some Democrats in Congress are worried their colleagues might kill them. That headline sounds a bit sensational, but it's true. Alexandria Ocasio Cortez, notably, said that she narrowly escaped with her life and was concerned that far-right members of Congress would reveal her location while the Capitol siege was taking place. NBC News adds, House members openly accuse far-right representatives of threatening their health and safety after Capitol riot. It's not just the Capitol riots. They're also complaining about COVID because there's a video where Republicans wouldn't put on masks. Now, AOC and many others had been railing on Lauren Boebert, a Republican member of Congress, newly elected, claiming she revealed Nancy Pelosi's location, putting her life at risk, and that she must be investigated. But all Lauren Boebert tweeted was, Nancy Pelosi has been removed from the chamber. Mike Pence and Chuck Grassley were removed as well, and many people tweeted that. And no one accused the Democrats of revealing the location. This seems to be an extreme and unhinged exaggeration. Calm down, people. Far-right representatives? Who are you talking about? Lauren Boebert? Why? Because she brought a gun with her? This is extreme radicalization, but it shows you the dramatic divide between the left and the right. Are you really that scared to be around someone with a gun? I don't go around thinking just because someone's got a gun, they're going to shoot me. I guess when you live in these cities, though, and you're fed the narrative that police officers are going around hunting people and killing them, they assume that at any moment someone with a gun would just use it. It shows very little trust in your fellow man. But more importantly, I mean, think about any war or conflict. What happens when someone wants to surrender? Or when both sides realize that all is lost and there has to be some kind of negotiation. You know, there's rules of engagement. There's flying the white flag. We're not even in any kind of actual conflict. Lauren Boebert is just another representative who happens to have a gun. There's hundreds of millions of guns in this country. This all stems from some incident where, you know, after the storming of the Capitol, metal detectors were put in. Nancy Pelosi wanted more security. And Lauren Boebert apparently walked through. The alarms go off and she's like, I'm not stopping. You're not searching me. She said it's her right to be armed and has repeatedly talked about even putting out an ad. Look, we're seeing a level of intensity that I've never seen in my lifetime when you have comments like this coming from Democrats. And I wonder how much of it is legitimate fear and how much of it is grifting. Because think about the narrative that can be played from the perpetual victims. I love how the left claims the right always wants to be a victim. Oh, the Republicans are trying so hard to be victims. And truth be told, there's that famous photo of Katie Hopkins with a target on her head. And I'm like, chill. Why do you want to be a victim? Why do you want to pretend to be a victim? I don't. I want to be successful and confident myself, recognizing that sometimes bad people do bad things. And yeah, they do hurt you, but I'm going to rely on myself and I'm not going to play that game. The left, however, they're always victims. It's the oppression Olympics. So, of course, AOC is going to take every opportunity to say, oh, no, I fear for my life. Listen, maybe we are really getting to that point that people believe Republicans and Democrats will start shooting at each other. Do you have any? Can I just think about that for a second? I once again would like to give a shout out to all the people who said Tim Pool was wrong for talking about civil war as often as he did. They're claiming that Republicans, members of Congress, might kill them. OK, well, all right. Let me slow down and actually just break down for you what's really happening. But I'm going to tell you, man, I do feel the escalation because Delta is apparently now expanding its no-fly list, 880 people. Amtrak wants no-fly to pertain to trains. I guess you'll just drive yourself. And more importantly, a new poll shows that 2/3 of Trump supporters still support him after everything. And Trump's approval rating is hovering around 40% after the storming of the Capitol. Think about what that means. So you know what? Let me walk things back. Maybe AOC's not wrong. Maybe she's just a little too freaked out. I don't think you've got anything to worry about from Republicans trying to shoot or kill you. That's kind of nuts. But maybe there's a real reason to be afraid of the other right now. Because both sides are apparently shaking and terrified of each other. I don't mean that literally. I just mean the tensions are so intense that people really do feel that we're in a standoff. Let's read this story. But before we do, head over to timcast.com to support my work, and you can become a member and get access to exclusive podcast segments. We recently shot a new segment with Richie McGinnis, a reporter who was on the ground at the Capitol, and that will be up soon. So go to timcast.com, join, become a member, and you will help support my work. The reason we're doing this is we're trying to secure a safety net, a decent amount, maybe, well, just if we get enough people who are members, we don't have to worry about censorship or getting banned or anything like that, because we will have that place, our own website to run our podcast. That's why it's so important. If you really do support the show, go to timcast.com, become a member. For those that are having issues with signing up, you can email members@timcast.com and we will do everything to help get you set up. Just understand we just launched this week, and so there's a lot of bugs, and we'll work through everything to try and get you guys squared away, and then we'll start getting into the flow of things, improve the site. It is all greatly appreciated. Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell, share this video if you really like it. Let's read the news. NBC News says, after last week's deadly assault on the U.S. Capitol by supporters of President Donald Trump, members of Congress are expressing something once unthinkable, that some of their own colleagues may be endangering their lives, not in a rhetorical sense, but in a direct and immediate way. It's the most poisonous I've ever seen. Rep. Don Bayer, a Democrat from Virginia, said in an interview, there's the overall sense that maybe if some of them have guns, and likely the ones who are more into conspiracy theories and QAnon with the satanic rings, are we safe from them? Since the deadly riot, January 6th, lawmakers have suggested, not so far backed up by any evidence, that far-right colleagues may have helped plan or guide the attack. Okay, I got to stop right there and just say, bravo, NBC News. You know what I love about the mainstream media? They love doing this thing where it's like, Trump claimed, comma, without evidence, comma. Here, they almost do it to the left, but they do this. They say, not so far backed up by evidence, as if to imply at some point they will come up with evidence that far-right Republicans were leading rioters to them. Just chill out, people, man. They say there are particular concerns about some newly elected members who have espoused extremist views, including comments supportive of the QAnon lie that accuses perceived enemies of Trump of being part of a child-abusing cult. Yes, my friends, the QAnon stuff is just nuts. I'm sorry, that's just true. A lot of people don't like it. But what you need to understand is that, for over the past year, I didn't know a whole lot about that stuff because it never really came up as I read the news. I don't care for conspiracy theories because, look, man, some people think the earth is flat. Some people think, there's Montauk experiments or whatever and like ancient aliens. No one's ragging on ancient aliens, I guess. But I started looking into this QAnon stuff because, the news picked up. More people got banned. It became more prevalent. And then there were some politicians who were like, posing in front of signs. And then I started reading about some of the stuff. They apparently thought Mueller was working for Donald Trump. And I'm like, wait, are you kidding me? That whole Trump was being investigated. He jammed Mueller, hurt Trump bad. There's been a bunch of things that has just been wrong to the point where Alex Jones, the man himself, was screaming that it's all lies. And I'm just like, whoa. When you got Alex Jones calling out a conspiracy, then you've really gone too far, man. Maybe people don't want to believe it, but you really got to come back from that edge, man. That stuff is just not true. I can't tell you how many times I've heard this stuff. But does that mean just because someone believes this, they're going to go and hurt a politician? I don't think so. Look, I know what they're reporting. They're saying that, according to prosecutors, the rioters were planning on assassinating people. I take that very seriously, and I believe it's probably true of some of these people. But come on, they claim that Q shaman guy, the guy with the horns, he said he's a life magic shaman. I'm pretty sure he's not, but I'm pretty sure that even if the fact that he believes he is means he's probably not going to go and hurt people. He's just not well. But listen, far be it from me to claim that, I should tell people what to do with their security. No, hold on. I think all the Democrats should take this very seriously. I think that all the politicians should, especially they were threatening the life of Mike Pence. We want the security. We want our politicians protected. Look, I don't like Ocasio Cortez. I really don't like Nancy Pelosi, but I want them to be safe, healthy, and live long, prosperous lives. I respect life. And I respect the idea. I respect the fact that I don't know everything. And while I read the news all day and may not like these people, that's just not liking them. I just disagree. I want them to be safe and to feel good and to be comfortable and be able to do their jobs. And then we can have that argument. I wouldn't vote for them, but I want everybody to be comfortable and safe. We really, really do want stability. So by all means, they should take this seriously. The problem is coming out and saying this stuff that the far right, first of all, that Republicans are far right in the first place. They're not. That they're a threat to you. Chill out, man. You are fanning the flames. We do not need this right now. All right. Well, here's what AOC said. Many of us narrowly escaped death. Rep. Ocasio Cortez recounts Capitol insurrection. You know what, man? AOC is Lil Trump. Her and Trump are very different in many ways, but they're very, very similar in many ways. They're e-celeb personality. Well, Trump's a legit celebrity. AOC is a celebrity, and she knows how to play the media game to whip up, controversy or whatever. And that's what this is. Dude, you were protected by Capitol security, okay? They were there guarding the vice president. You do not, look, while I think it was horrifying what happened with people storming the Capitol, I don't think you really had much to worry about. A woman was shot and killed by one of these Capitol security guards. The Capitol Police. These police had their guns trained on a bunch of unarmed people who stormed in. Now, some of these people brought weapons to D.C., but they didn't bring them inside. That's my understanding. Many of them had flex cuffs or flexi cuff, whatever you call them. I don't think you were narrowly escaping death because we have security protocols and they evacuated you in line with those protocols. However, I will absolutely defend AOC and all the members of Congress because while she may be scared, and I believe wrong, it's not her fault that these attacks happened. It's not her fault that these people stormed into the building. No, that's on the people who stormed into the building. So listen, if you're upset with what she's saying, well, listen, that she got the opportunity to make these claims and prop herself up and cry victim because people actually stormed in. I think she'd earn more points if she was a bit calmer about it and said, look, if it were me, I'd say, I don't know what these people intended. You saw what the reports from the prosecutors was. You saw the flex cuffs they had. They weren't coming here playing games. Some people were acting stupid, but stupid people often provide cover for the crazies. We've seen it with Antifa. So whether or not you want to go that far and say they were going to kill us, so we're doomed, I think you need to chill out. I think they go way too far when they then accuse sitting members of Congress of threatening their lives. NPR reports. In an hour-long Instagram Live Tuesday night, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez described her personal experience last week when a violent mob of pro-Trump extremists breached the Capitol and forced lawmakers into hiding. I had a pretty traumatizing event happen to me, and I do not know if I can even disclose the full details of that event due to security concerns. But I can tell you that I had a very close encounter where I thought I was going to die. She added, Wednesday was an extremely traumatizing event, and it is not an exaggeration to say that many members of the House were nearly assassinated. It's just not an exaggeration to say that at all. It literally is. Okay, I'm sorry, it is. We were very lucky that things happened within certain minutes that allowed members to escape the House floor unharmed, but many of us narrowly escaped death. I'm sorry. I will not sit here and pretend the United States federal security apparatus would collapse under the weight of a bunch of angry Trump supporters. And don't get me wrong, they did storm the building. All right. That just exposes there were some weaknesses. And boy, was that pathetic on the part of the federal government. I got to tell you. But the idea that she was ever in danger, I'm sorry. I just don't really believe it. I think the federal security system, the apparatus, is much too powerful. Now, I definitely think for a lot of political reasons, namely D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser being worried about optics and the National Guard being worried about optics, there wasn't enough security in the first place. There's a big difference between being prepared for foreign adversaries and being prepared for a bunch of angry Americans, whether you agree with them or not. I don't think AOC was at risk. Well, I'll put maybe a little bit. But there was Capitol Police barricading the doors, and these people struggled to find out where they didn't even know where they were going. OK, they walked right past the doors to the main chamber. That's the crazy thing. So but at the point where these people got in, AOC and everybody were long gone, taken away to a secure area. There's some risk for sure. There were crazy people there. They could have done crazy things. So I'm not going to pretend like, I'm not trying to put this on AOC and blame her. Absolutely not. I think she's justified in complaining about it for sure. I just think she needs to tone down accusing the Republicans of wanting to kill her, right? They say in her video on Tuesday, she said she felt unsafe in the secure room where she was held with other lawmakers. Quote, I myself did not even feel safe going to that extraction point because there were QAnon and white supremacist sympathizers and, frankly, white supremacist members of Congress in that extraction point who I know and who I had felt would disclose my location and allow me to, who would create opportunities to allow me to be hurt, kidnapped, etc. Listen, I really don't think AOC is the primary target for anybody. I think actually, as much as a lot of conservatives don't like AOC, a part of them actually does. It's a weird thing, but I think AOC is a populist. She pokes the establishment bare. I think most Republicans and conservatives, especially the ones who had, ill intent, don't view AOC as all that bad, just not that smart. I'm sure there are a lot of people. I mean, she's famous, so she's probably got serious threats. I understand how that works. I think they were looking at people like Schumer and Pelosi after, decades in office. So I really do hope that all of these people are safe and secure. But you see what AOC is doing here? Referring to Republicans as white supremacists. It's like she wants the conflict. This stuff is just so insane. Now, I mentioned the Lauren Boebert situation. Vox says a fight over metal detectors reveals how broken Congress really is. They cannot stop me. Some Republicans express outrage over new security after January 6th. The tensions are hot, man. Lauren Boebert wants to conceal carry because the Second Amendment says you have a right to the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. And she actually is allowed to carry a weapon in her office. I believe it can be in a case unloaded and brought to her office, and then they can have that. I don't think they're allowed to carry it throughout the Capitol. And she may have. We don't know. The left was calling for her arrest. Do you have any idea what would happen if the police arrested a sitting member of Congress? You want to light things up and kick things off? That's how you do it. Please do not do that. I don't think you have to worry about these people killing you or anything. That's insane. But man, I feel like I'd be lying if I didn't at least say we may be walking to that point. Listen, we're at the point now where there are Democrats asserting that members of Congress, Republicans, want to kill them. Is that not Civil War territory? Can I get I told you so? It's freaky, man. So for me, I'll tell you what I want to do. You know what I want to do? I want to stay away from all of that stuff. I want people to just chill out, read a book, watch a movie, mind your own business, calm down, get away from DC. All right, put on a movie, turn off the internet, and just chill. I really am worried that people might go to D.C. So I'm grateful to our National Guardsmen who are protecting the Capitol. Because like I said, man, I am no fan of Joe Biden. I've called him crooked. I think he's bad. But we do not solve our problems with any kind of extreme conflict and people getting hurt or anything like that. No, you solve it through culture, inspiration, and persuasion. It's not easy. It is absolutely not easy. But I'll tell you, you look at what Black Lives Matter did throughout this year, smashing and destroying anything, and what did they accomplish? Now, a lot of people seem to think they're winning, and I'm like, they're not. That damaged their cause. They lost out. Now, I do believe there should be some kind of censure, at least, of, say, Kamala Harris and Joe Biden's staff for bailing out the rioters. That you can at least do. And we can absolutely go after these individuals who stormed the gates. That's something that needs to happen. But let me show you how crazy things are getting. The New York Post is banning CNN, MSNBC, the Washington Post, and the New York Times as primary sources. The divide in what we read and what we understand is becoming so pronounced that even mainstream newspapers are decoupling. The New York Post would say CNN reported this. Now they won't do it anymore. Why? Because CNN puts out fake news. CNN put out an article, Brian Stelter, talking about the domestic terrorists who stormed the Capitol. Little did he report on the fact that Anderson Cooper actually hosted one of these individuals and pretended the guy was like a journalist. We now know, thanks to the FBI arrest affidavit, that this individual was cheering and celebrating and egging on the rioters as though he was a rioter. This guy, John Sullivan. CNN's hyper-partisan. That's just the reality. And as we see the divide hit in media, it's only going to exacerbate hyperpolarization. from the Daily Mail. New poll says 2/3 of Republicans approve of Donald Trump's behavior even after MAGA riot. And supporters of both parties say the country is tearing itself apart. This, my friends, I'm showing you now, is the Real Clear Politics average. Would you be at all surprised if I told you that Donald Trump's disapproval is not at an all-time high? Oh, his approval ratings dropped dramatically to one of its lowest positions yet. But would you be surprised if I told you Donald Trump's approval rating is not at an all-time low? His disapproval, not at an all-time high. In fact, Donald Trump's approval rating right now is 39.7% in the aggregate, floating around 40%. Donald Trump's presidential average is around 43%. He's down a little bit. That's it. Take a look at this. Rasmussen has Trump's approval rating at 48%. Now, that's one poll. It's Rasmussen. Many people say they're biased, but they were one of the most accurate polls in 2016, if not the most accurate. But take a look at this. ABC News has Trump's approval rating at 38%. That's amazing. YouGov, 41%. Reuters, 35%. Hill Harris X, 44%. Quinnipiac, 33%. Look at this 48%, 41%, 44%. Are you kidding me? Donald Trump is maintaining large swaths of the country in his base after everything we've seen. And I tell you this, I disapprove of the way Trump handled himself with these tweets. Now, we've learned, even from CNN, that the storming of the Capitol was pre-planned. Trump did not incite anybody. They were already there while Trump was still speaking. They had already breached the barrier while Trump was still speaking. And before Trump could even realize what was going on, he said, peacefully march to cheer on politicians. Now, after they stormed in and the speech was over, Trump didn't march with anybody. And he just said, Mike Pence has, not done what we need to do. He should have come out and said, yo, stop. What are you doing? I think these people who stormed the Capitol, Trump supporters second, if they are Trump supporters. I don't know what you'd call them. Right-wing rioters, I guess. But the people who really did support the president wanted to see Donald Trump speak. You see the difference? Now, don't get me wrong. The people who stormed the Capitol probably are Trump supporters, just not first and foremost. So where do we go from here? With all of these people supporting the president, with Democrats claiming they narrowly avoided death and that, they think the Republican colleagues are going to kill them, we see scary stories like this. Delta puts 880 people on no-fly list over masks, others for unruly behavior. Now, let me just pause for a second. I personally don't care about masks. I say it all the time. I got this really cool mask. I wear it. It's fine. I'm not worried about it. And just because people are being banned over masks doesn't mean they're Trump supporters. But we did hear that Alaska Air put 14 people on no-fly lists, and the left is defending this. This is war on terror level stuff. We don't want this. People being falsely accused. There's one individual now, a story's going on. I'm not going to say their name, but apparently they took a photo of themselves at the Capitol, not in the building. Just like, hey, look, we're here in D.C. And they got fired from their job because the left doxed them and the company was like, we won't support that. What's going to happen is regular people who didn't do anything wrong and just went to see the president speak are going to start losing their jobs because the left will dox them. Then they're going to have no choice but to find places to work that will accept them. So what happens then? Well, good luck working in a blue state. They're going to be like, oh, we can't have that. But go to a red state and they're going to be like, we don't care. You go to Wyoming and West Virginia, that's Trump country. That's MAGA country. They're going to be like, oh, you were in D.C. And they're like, yep. I'm like, whatever. Come work. This is going to cause people to leave these areas because they have no choice. We now see Amtrak wants the no-fly list to apply to trains as well. So there's going to be a lot of people falsely accused. They're going to be falsely put on no-fly lists like we saw in the past with the war on terror. And then it's going to create this underclass of individuals who struggle to find work. And I know the left says, that's the free market, man. Well, not literally. The free market is supposed to be, you can buy and sell what you want. But arguably, it does point out a flaw in the free market. The problem is that if there is a culture that tells you can't do something out of fear of punishment culturally, it's more powerful than politics and more powerful than just a raw market. And that's where things get truly scary. That's where zealotry and authoritarianism comes into play and becomes powerful. You don't want that. You really, really do not want that. I mean, think about what that means. You will be going to the store, your credit card won't work. You'll open your phone, your apps won't work. You said the wrong thing to a friend and we heard you. Why? Because you got them little robots that spying you all the time, or your phone, which is listening, right? They do listen, but they argue it's not for the reason you think. No, eventually someone's going to falsely report you, and then you are out of luck. I have a Ukrainian friend, and I was hanging out at her place years ago, and it was like this old communist block housing, just like really generic, weird-looking buildings. And she told me that her neighbor, the apartment next to her, there was years ago during the Soviet Union, the person who lived there was getting into a fight with the person who lived in her building, in her apartment unit. These people are gone. But during the Soviet Union, the neighbors were fighting. And so one neighbor called the Communist Party, the police or whatever, and said, my neighbor is saying anti-communist things and insulting the party. The next day, the apartment was empty and the person was gone. Off to the gulag with you. All it took was them to say, yeah, lie. This person lied because they were having an argument. Is that what's going to happen? What happens now when someone just says, now's my chance to falsely smear someone? And they do. Why would anyone want to live in a society like that? Like, why would you want to be a part of that mob? Eventually, they'll turn on you, and there's nothing you can do about it. Why would anyone want to create that? You know what it is? They all think they'll be the ones in charge. They all think they will be the ones on top. Well, you will not be. Because as Noam Chomsky said, when you enter the arena of violence, the most brutal guy wins. And that ain't us. Referring to the left, by the way. And he's right. There's now one dude who got arrested bragging in one day the right took the effing Capitol, don't poke us. That's kind of crazy. But he's got a point. What was the left able to do? Destroy everything? Low grade, lots of destruction. The right, when they got serious, they took the Capitol building. That's crazy, dude. So that's why I think, National Guard's out there. They're taking it seriously. They're really worried about what the right will do if they feel that they are threatened. Because the left, they don't got it. Many people point out the left, they tend to be scrawny and kind of weak. And people on the right tend to be, not everybody. I'm not saying literally everybody. But you see these guys who go out and protest and they're like big and either thick, fat, but muscular. And then you look at these leftists and they're small and skinny. Don't get me wrong, they're fat leftists for sure. I'm just saying. The stereotype. You watch these Proud Boy versus Antifa fights, and the Proud Boys are just wailing on them. That's why some went to prison. So here we go. The divide is so extreme that not even someone like Ben Shapiro can get away with writing an article. When Politico had Ben Shapiro write for their playbook as a guest author, it brought a backlash. The platform given to the right-wing pundit enraged Politico staffers, forcing a top editor to defend the choice. What is controversial about Ben Shapiro? He's just a traditional conservative. He's not far right. He's not, alt-right, whatever. He's just a conservative. How crazy is this? That a news organization would be like, we can't have a conservative right here. What are you doing? There are people posting online saying, you're emboldening fake news. It was really funny. One employee of Politico wrote, how can I tell people we're real news when we publish Ben Shapiro? You can tell him you're real news because you publish Ben Shapiro. He's just a guy with an opinion. If you don't think he's right, look, not every person who puts out opinions, they're right. Sometimes people have bad opinions and they're wrong. I know I do. It happens all the time. I don't think I'm the smartest person in the world. But do they really think that all of their leftist personalities and their opinions are 100% based in fact and reality? That's nuts. These people are nuts. I'll tell you what worries me is looping this back together. AOC, these Democrats making these claims. If we really are at the point now where they think Republicans will kill them, this is the worst escalation I've ever seen. Because the fissure is so intense, they actually think they're going to die. Or they're lying to get sympathy. But it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You know what I mean? That whether they believe it now or not, it's going to create real fear in future Democrats. And that fear will become hate eventually. And that hate will become violence. And I hope it does not. But I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm just going to get away from it all. I don't want to have anything to do with any of that nonsense. I want to mind my own business, and you should too. You should want to go out, have a good time, protect your family, have some food, build something, create something, inspire people, build culture. That's what people do. I hope everything stays peaceful in the next several days. We'll see. I'll leave it there. Next segment will be tonight at 8 p.m. live at youtube.com/TimCastIRL. Make sure to check it out. We'll be hanging out, taking audience questions, and it'll be a lot of fun. Once again, thanks for hanging out, and I will see you all then.